After the first couple of days of competition in Pyeongchang, you know, that international sporting event, which is very heavily copyrighted, so we're not really going to mention what it really is. There has been a lot of attention paid to the bizarre juxtaposition of North Korea, Vice President Pence, and some members of the media falling over each other to praise the visuals of cheering North Korean fans who we know really are being threatened with their lives if they don't act like they're having the best time of their lives. So what's next for the two Koreas and the United States? It is a serious topic, and our friend Jamil, Jaffer, founder of the National Security Institute at George Mason University and a former staffer for the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, up late with me on the Final Five. Hello, my friend. It's been a while.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about this. So I'll tell you, when I was watching this international sporting event, which we can't say the name of, or we can, I'm just having fun, it was really odd to see Kim Jong-un's sister sitting one row behind the sitting vice president of the United States. And I'm curious, when you see that kind of visual, what does that bring to mind for you?
Well, look, I mean, it's clear that this was an attempt by the North Koreans to get a propaganda victory, to get themselves sort of, look at this this woman. She's 30 years old. She's the sister to the leader of North Korea, and she's right there next to the vice president of the United States. You know, North Korea is a real serious player in international politics. And, you know, to be honest with you, this may have very well been part of a deal that they cut with South Korea to do this joint Olympic team. Part of it may have been, you've got to give us some room to get these propaganda victories, even at the expense of your closest ally.
We were talking about the whole idea that Vice President Pence did not stand up, that the only country he stood up for during the Parade of Nations was the United States. A lot's been made about that. I personally feel like it's too much. I'm curious how you feel about that.
Well, look, I mean, you know, if you don't stand up for every country, then the question is, well, which ones do you stand up for? And, you know, will one country be offended? Will another country be offended? So I think, you know, typically leaders would stand for their own country and for the host country. That would not be unusual. So this is perhaps a little bit unusual, but, you know, there are obviously very deep problems between us and North Korea, including the fact that they're threatening us with nuclear weapons that can reach our shores. And so it's good to see the Koreans working together in a unified form at the Olympics. You know, there are some weird things with these cheerleaders and the coordinated singing.
A little bit. I've never been to a game at Nats Park or any ballpark. I mean, you see that in movies. You don't see it in real life.
Well, you know, I mean, look, you know, when you go to a soccer game,
True.
You know, I'm not a huge soccer fan, but you know, you got the soccer hooligans singing their songs, and you know, we do the wave. I mean, I'm sure people find the waves.
Nope, I find the wave highly offensive, just so you know.
Yeah. So, you know, who knows?
As we move forward, as we get past these games, you know, we see this emerging diplomacy between the North and the South. Is there reason to be skeptical?
Well, look, it's a challenge. I mean, North Korea certainly wants unification. They want unification on their own terms, where they run the unified Korea, the Kim family. South Korea, not clear that South Korea wants unification because it will be a huge burden. As difficult it was for East and West Germany to come together and the huge economic dislocation that West Germany took on, the situation in North Korea is dramatically worse, and South Korea taking on that burden will be a real challenge. And so, you know, it's hard to know how unification plays out, but the talks are beneficial. It's better than, you know, two parties staring across each other across the line and threatening to turn one side into or the other into a sea of burning fire, which is what used to happen and what happened, you know, less than 6 months ago.
Yeah, we know that South Korea, the president of South Korea, has been invited to the North for talks. And that positive?
Well, absolutely. I mean, look, it would be a propaganda victory for the North Koreans to get the South Koreans to come to them. They've sort of come to the South Koreans this time. They've had a unified Olympic team. I mean, it is interesting to see, you know, the Korean team together, not the South Korean team and the North Korean team. So, I mean, these are positive steps. And, you know, by the way, a lot of people have been very skeptical of President Trump's foreign policy approach to North Korea. And there are things to be skeptical about. But, you know, at some level, you know, it might be working as people, you know, people may be surprised to hear that, but it does seem like we are in a new place with North Korea than we were, you know, 3 months ago.
Well, considering everybody thought there was going to be some kind of nuclear missile test going up against the opening ceremony, and we didn't see that, that's a good sign. Jamil, Jaffer, always good to see you. Thank you for joining me tonight through the magic of Skype. And we're back after this on the Final Five.